Hello everyone, my name is Momoz91. Today I've got some more daily races around Tokyo East Outer Loop. So back in the McLaren F1 and we are going to start in 16th position, but this was probably the dirtiest lobby I've ever taken part in, and this is top split by the way in EMEA, so you would expect some semi-decent driving standards, but apparently not, because this race is an absolute treat. But immediately we're going to fly past the Pug VGT, also known as the Wide, and that car just has no acceleration, so we're just going to fly past it. But going down the main straight, it's such a long straight actually, that we're going to get overtaken once again, and the Italian is also just going to squeeze Flying Icarus into the wall, and we move back up into 16th position. We're starting on the medium to compound of tyre, because it is the faster compound to start on in this race in my opinion, because the slipstream is so strong, and because of that 3.5 kilometre long straight or whatever it is. You know, if someone is even a second behind, all it takes is a bit of teamwork and they'll be all over your rear bumper by the end of the straight. It's just the nature of this track that really lends towards slipstream and overtaking. But anyway, going through sector 3 then, really pushing the limits of the track. It is quite a narrow track actually. It does look quite wide, but that's really because of the elevation change, I think. It's not actually that wide, so overtakes are quite difficult, especially in that third sector. But anyway, going into the final proper corner, then the South African is just going to get bullied out the way by the Italian, and here we're going to get shoved into the wall. And to be fair, that was, I think, my fault. I did get a bit of oversteer, I turned into him, but I don't think he needed to turn into me there. But anyway, we're still in the slipstream and we will continue. So using up a bit of nitrous oxide, because let's be honest, who wants to watch someone go down a straight for 45 seconds or whatever it is. But anyway, going through the first corner, then really closing up to the pack in front. They are battling way too much, and Brett Cowell just gets pushed off there, and we're all over his rear bumper, but there's just nowhere to pass at this point in the track really, and there's just nowhere to go, so we're going to tuck in behind, but all we can really do is just give him a little bump draft. But then there's a bit of a Constantina effect and I've got nowhere to go. The Frenchman gets a really poor run, and we managed to get past the South African, but we just can't get past Icarus at this point anyway. So going through the fast left-hander, really tricky corner to get right, especially as you're going uphill, so it is quite bumpy on the apex. I do prefer the other layout, because I do think that East Inner flows a lot better than East Outer, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, going into the final corner, I was just looking to do a bit of a dummy move, but in fact I'm going way too hot, and the Frenchman is going to get the overlap on the exit. He does squeeze us into the wall while he does it, but again, it was my fault. I just went for a dummy move that turned out to be an actual move, and it did look bad. However, it was just an honest mistake. But anyway, going into the first corner then, you've got the Spaniard on the inside of the German, and we are going to follow him through. We're on the inside, and that's a very easy overtake. And I will say that this was my first race on, so please excuse my relatively poor driving. As you know, when you're when you're in your first race with a car that has very poor handling, it is quite hard to get to grips with. But I suppose I'm not doing too badly, am I, if I haven't lost any places. But into the fast right-hander then, really attacking the inside. You've got to at that corner, I think, otherwise you will just lose a lot of time. But it seems as though the two in front are starting to battle, and that is really good for me, because I need to try and make up as much ground as I can to the cars in front. So as you can see there in the distance, Ronin GT8 has made a bit of a mistake, I believe, and that is really going to do us a lot of good. But as we go into the final corner, braking as late as possible, and we're going to take a wide line so we can get a better exit. And just bear in mind our position here. So we started this straight as 16th as we move up into 15th, but we're just going to whip it forward here once again because this straight is just so damn long. And as you can see here, we're in a massive kind of queue, but here I'm just going to brake a bit and kind of take it cautiously, and I think that's worked because everyone else has gone really wide, and we're just going to go down the inside of the mall and we're going to move up into 11th place. So we started that straight in 16th position and now we're in P11, so all it takes is good positioning and you can definitely get in a lot of places. But skipping forward to the end of lap 4, just a bit of a scare there on the radars, a couple of cars going bowling here in the middle of a racetrack. So we'll just gloss over that. We're going to go into the pit lane then and fit on the soft tyres. So the only thing you really need to do in this race is avoid getting slammed into the wall and make sure you use both the medium and soft compounded tyres. But another thing just to kind of get out of the way is, if you do enjoy the content and you're not subscribed already, please click that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And also feel free to join my Discord server, as the link will be under the pinned comment and in the description of the video. But yeah, enough of that kind of blabber. We're just going to get back underway with the racing. So Momoz there is going to re-merge in front of us. I believe he stopped on lap 3, but as we're going to skip forward to start lap number 6, you've got Welly going past in the McLaren F1, 10th first driver. Started at the back with me and he's moved up into 13th place as we almost get squeezed into the wall as Mario Vars kind of put himself into an awkward position. But there's a bit of a tussle in front of us and we're going to try and close up as we go into the first corner. So Mario Sonic not exactly having the greatest of times in very quick qualifier, but it doesn't have the race pace. Kind of falls under the same bracket as Burst 185 in a way. Both very fast in qualifying, but they just can't really compete in the race, whether that be due to tyre wear or just lack of racecraft, I don't know. But for whatever reason, he started in 4th, I believe, and now he's down in P11, so I don't know what's happened. He must have pitted really early, but we're getting held up by him, I think, as the server's just having a bit of a fit again, like they have been in the last month and a half or so. As we go into the 4th sector, a really tricky sequence of corners to absolutely hook up because it is quite flowing, so one mistake will lead to into another, and it's really imperative that you do nail it. As we go into the hairpin then, Mario does go defensive and Welly does take a wider line, but that is going to mean he gets a better exit and we keep our 13th position. But there are still cars yet to come in as Ed Herb and Osman do make their pit stop. So a couple of cars coming out the pits then as we fly past the Spaniard. There's also about making really shoddy rejoin out the pit lane. It's all kicking off here. I go to the inside, but then Momoz is just going to cover me off and there's nowhere for me to go really. So as we go into the first corner, we're going to go to the outside, and then Welly is just going to punt Momoz, who in turn is going to punt Mario Sonic, and then Mario Sonic is going to rejoin really poorly, and then Momoz tries to squeeze his bandit into the wall. Momoz goes deep into the corner, Welly squeezes Momoz into the wall, and it's all kicking off here as we somehow don't lose massive amounts of places, as Eze manages to make his way up into P9, and well, he does get a 3-second penalty, so I guess that was well deserved because he did kind of squeeze Momoz into the wall. But just looking at this again then, as you can see, he does get a bit of a bump on the rear end, and that is going to affect Mario Sonic as well. So here he turns right, to squeeze Welly into the wall. He goes deep into the corner, and then he tries to squeeze Welly as well, but then that's just going to lead to him getting squeezed. And then he also tries to squeeze the other McLaren, and he's just really kicking off. It's the typical Momoz behaviour that we all know and love. But anyway, into the third sector then. Very important sector to get right, I think, because especially behind this Pug VGT, because it is so good in the corners, it's very tricky to keep up with it. So if we can do so, that would be really, really good for our race. But as we go into the penultimate sector then, there are 5 sectors at this track, although to be fair, only 3 of them really do count, as the Spaniard there serving his penalty. And we're just going to have a look here, because Momoz briefly appears on the radar and he gives us a sort of bump. It was very subtle, but I could definitely feel it. And we're just going to look at that again. So as you can see here, the 2 Spaniards serving their penalties, I think. And then he's going to get another bump up the rear, and in turn he's going to go very wide at the last corner. But he's going to get a really good exit. But we're going to catch up with him very shortly as we go down the main straight then, following the wide. And the main thing you need to know about the wide is that it is probably better than the McLaren at this track. Not by much, but I think it is certainly better, especially as it's decent on the straights. You know, you don't really lose all too much compared to most other cars, and it is also obviously really good in the corners. But as you can see here, we're just going to follow Mario Vaz. There's a bit of a lag spike there, I think, and we move up into 8th position. So Mario Sonic there, not out of reach, but we're going to go back on board with Momo. So he's going to try and squeeze our driver into the wall, but it's not quite going to work. And as we see here, he gets a bump draft, and he's going to get brake checked, and that is just going to cause even more chaos. He's going to get squeezed into the wall. He's going to briefly lose control. And as we head towards the first corner, I just knew, when I was looking back at this replay, I just knew exactly what was going to happen. So as we charge towards turn number 1 then, and what do you think is going to happen here? He's just going to absolutely send it. He's going to try and send that McLaren into the wall. He does get squeezed also into the wall, and then here he's just going to let go of the steering and send that driver into the shadow realm. So very, very poor driving from Momoz there. As we head through the sector 3, the very tricky chicane there, really hard to get right, and I do think that is where the controller really does suffer, because you can't just get that extra rotation that you want. As Edip comes flying through in the Pug, and there's nothing I can do because I just got a poor exit out of the corner, and he just came flying through. And now we're on 4-lap old softs, so they are starting to degrade quite badly, but it's going to be up to the drivers in front to make sure that we get a clean end to this race. As we head towards the final corner then, huge pack there, and Mario once again going defensive. That's just going to show that he does not really have great pace, as he's going defensive quite a lot. So we're going to pull alongside Edip here, but he does have the slipstream, so it is pretty much pointless. And we are going to slowly recede. There we go, and we're just going to tuck in behind and wait for the perfect opportunity to pass him into turn 1. So just bump drafting him here, as he does have no punt on the back of his car, which is quite ironic given some of his shenanigans later on. But as we go towards turn 1 then for the 9th time, we're just going to try and go for the gap. It's not quite there, and in hindsight it was a really stupid thing to do. But I also do think that if he felt the contact, he could have given me room. But it is what it is, and we just have to sit behind and wait for a better opportunity to arise. As we go on to the end of lap number 9, going into the final corner, at this point Edip has completely dropped us. That Pug is just so much better through the middle sectors, as he does push Sam Johnson out of the way. So again, the dirty side of Edda coming out to play here, and we are just going to whip it forward then onto the final lap. So if we're going to have to go for a move, this will probably be the best chance we're going to get. So we're going to go on the inside, and we are not going to get squeezed into the wall. We're just going to butt draft Edda up here quite a bit, and also go into the first corner then, just braking hard. And then I do think he braked a bit early there, but I'm not so sure. I do think that tyre wear is definitely becoming a factor now in the final lap. But as we go into sector number 3 then, the sectors are quite weird here, as I've mentioned previously, but we've got to make sure that we do our best, especially as we are getting squeezed into the wall, and then we are just going to have to back out as we do get slammed into the barrier once again, so giving barrier a nice little visit. But as we go through the middle sector then, really beginning to feel the effect of tyre wear. Mario Sonic gets a really poor run. I was going to throw Edda off completely. So as we go into the penultimate sector of the race, there's not really many more overtaking opportunities other than the final corner. So Edda gets squeezed into the wall by Mario Sonic, and we're just going to try and take the invitation, but we just get blocked off. And as we go into the final corner, Mario Sonic does get a bit of a punt, I believe. As we go to the final corner, Sam Johnson's just going to come storming through, and we almost lose control of the car, but thankfully that does not happen. And as we go on to the main straight then, it looks like we are going to have P8 secured. But wow, that was such a dirty race. You know, some of the driving standards were absolutely appalling, especially from Momoz and co. But again, this was top split, so going into this I was expecting a nice fun race from the back, but that obviously did not happen. So if you did enjoy the race, leave a like and subscribe, turn on those post notifications. I know it's a cliche, but it really does help me out. But take care everyone, and goodbye.